We have talked long enough about, potentially what could happen. Let's talk about what's going to happen this weekend with these top 25 matchups. This is the Pick the Winner segment. This is presented by the Coach T NFL show. If you're interested in the NFL and all that we do there, hopefully you're already listening, number one. But number two, if you're not, take a chance on that. Take a listen at that. It's a great show. We come with great content every week. And we highlight all the top things, all the main happenings in the NFL. So with that being said, we will go down all the top 25 matchups as we normally do. Top games, blowout games, highest scoring game, lowest scoring game, and then upset pick of the week. First game we'll begin with, this will be Friday. We have number 22 San Diego State. They are 9-1 on the year. They're 10.5 point favorites on the road at UNLV. 41 points is the over-under. UNLV, they are 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games overall, and the total has gone under in the last 5 matchups between these two teams. Mook, pick the winner.
I think you look at it in San Diego State, number 22, 9-1, UNLV 2-8. Why is it only a 10-point spread? I think it's because of the fact that San Diego State's not an explosive offense. They have a very efficient ground game and not so great passing game, but their defense is really good. So I think that the 10-point spread, while it may seem like that's pretty close, I think you could have run it end to end with a 10-point win. That's what I expect, San Diego State to do in this game over UNLV.
Yeah, Mook, I love it. And I'm a big proponent of weeknight games for the home teams, especially obviously because most of those games happen at night. They have to happen at night. So if it's a weeknight game, duh. But night game, weeknight game at home. I really like the home team. Not in this case because UNLV, as you mentioned, they're not very good. They're 2-8 on the year. They struggle mightily to score. And for San Diego State, although they have trouble scoring at times, this is the ideal matchup for them. Again, San Diego State is ground and pound. They play really good defense. Okay, they may not be able to score, but they can stop teams, and they're going to play a UNLV running Rebels team that cannot. They're the walking Rebels because they cannot run at all. They cannot score. They cannot get up and down the field. So for San Diego State, great matchup for them. Play a team they can slow down, make it their type of game, and I have San Diego State obviously winning this game, but also covering that number. Next, we have for Saturday, we hit on it earlier, our number 7 Michigan State. They are 9-1 on the year, facing also 9-1 on the year, and number 4 in the rankings, Ohio State. This game is in Columbus. The Buckeyes, they are 19-point favorites at home. 66.5 points is the over-under. Ohio State, they have won their last 5 games at home, and the total has gone under in the last 5 games between these two teams when it's played in Columbus, Mook. Pick the winner.
I think that this is a game where if Kenneth Walker III can have a monster game, I think he can really vault himself into, the guy in the Heisman race for sure. I think they'll score. I think Ohio State's got they leave a lot to be desired defensively, but man, Ohio State will get a couple stops and they'll just keep running up. I mean, I don't know if I see 19-point win, but it definitely by a couple scores. That offense is just, it's ridiculous.
Ooh, Mook. This is a tough one. It's a tough one. The easiest thing for me is to say that neither team will stop the other. So it's gonna be a lot of points scored in this game. So take that for what it's worth. 19 points. I don't see that happen. I would take Michigan State all day and twice on Saturday. With almost, Ohio State's got to beat them by 20 points, 3 scores. So that is a lot to ask Ohio State against a team like Michigan State that they can run the ball. And Ohio State hasn't been spectacular on the defensive side of the ball. So when you can run the ball, where you can control the clock, you can control the momentum, you can control the speed of the game like Michigan State potentially can. And honestly, Michigan State came out last week like a top 10 team should, at home against Maryland. From the start, it was a wrap. Like, Maryland had no shot. You know, I like to see teams, top 10 teams, actually play like top 10 teams. Michigan State is a top 10 team for a reason. And now they're playing number 4 Ohio State. And Mel Tucker, we hit on him. He's going to get his troops ready to go into Columbus. He's an Ohio State. He's an Ohio boy, Mel Tucker is. So, you know, he knows a little bit about Ohio State. So, as far as that number, I have Michigan State covering that number. I just feel like it's going to be a dogfight. This may be one of the best games in the Big Ten all year. This one right here. And Ohio State, as far as winning the game, it's hard for me to go against them at home. It really is, Mook. Although I want to, it's very hard for me to go against the Buckeyes at home. So I have Ohio State winning this game by a slight margin. I don't think it's going to be a blowout at all. I think it's a single-digit last possession type of game. I have Michigan State covering the number. I feel like a lot of points will be scored, but I got to go with the Buckeyes winning this matchup in a very, very, very tight game. All right, next, we're going to be very quick with the next two, actually. We have Charleston Southern, who's 4-5 on the year, facing number 1 Georgia, 10-0 on the year. A couple days ago when I did this, the odds were not available. I don't know if they're available now. I'm not wasting any of our time, fans, to look up the odds. So we both have Georgia, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. And just for you guys to know out there, Charleston Southern, they are 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games overall, and 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games on the road. So that's not good for them. So we're both taking Georgia there. And then next game, we have Prairie View A&M. They're actually 7-2 on the year. So they're not doing too bad. The FCS team. They are facing number 11 Texas A&M, coming off of that loss to Ole Miss last week. The odds are also not available here. Just for the fans out there, Prairie View, they are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games, but they are only 1-9 straight up in their last 10 games on the road. So they're not a good road team either. Texas A&M, they are 13-1 straight up in their last 14 home games, and Texas A&M, they are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games at home. We're both taking Texas A&M, correct?
Yeah. The only thing I know about Prairie View A&M is in like the 90s, they had like a record for most losing seasons in a row or winless in a row. So I don't think this is going to be the day that they're going to get a win over the other A&M. So
wouldn't that be crazy?
It would be. Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't that be crazy?
Crazy. I guess when you have a team like Texas A&M that doesn't really have a dynamic offense, anything's possible, but they do have a smothering defense, and I can't see an FCS school really playing well against that.
Yeah.
But
not in front of 100,000+.
Right,
that is Texas A&M. That's a lot to ask, and I think they'll be riled up. But just focusing in on the Aggies, it's a tough environment playing at Ole Miss, night game. But they didn't look good by any means. They had a little bit of a run, third quarter, but turnovers, like you mentioned, they don't have an explosive offense. And if you can somewhat stifle their run game, they don't have many other options. So they're just an up and down team. I'm just going to come to realize that 2021 Texas A&M Aggies, they're going to be up and down every week. Just what you're going to get. We're 11 weeks in, 12 weeks in. It is what it is. So next matchup, we have number 19, newly cemented number 19, Purdue. They are 6-4 on the year. They are 11.5-point favorites on the road at Northwestern. 48.5 is the over-under. The total has gone under in 7 of Purdue's last 10 games. And Purdue, they are 5-10 against the spread in their last 15 games. I would have never guessed that. Northwestern is 6-1 straight up in their last 7 games against Purdue, and they are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 games against the Boilermakers. Mook, pick the winner.
Well, I mean, I think Purdue's by far the better team in this matchup. I think coming after what happened last week with Ohio State, I mean, there's just too much offense there at Ohio State, and Purdue has some good players on defense, but they're not a great defense. Like George Karlaftis is unbelievable. He's going to be a high pick in the draft, but
they're saying number 1 maybe.
Yeah, he's something else. Might be a little more juice in this game. It's being played at Wrigley Field, so I think that's kind of a cool thing. Northwestern, just they don't have anything going offensively. defensively, they're not very good either. So there's nothing that tells me that they can win this football game against Purdue. So I definitely look for Purdue to go 7-4 and heading into the Oaken Bucket game next week. So, or in 2 weeks.
Yeah. So Purdue has had the season that everyone in the world thought my Indiana Hoosiers would have. Mm-hmm. And that's sad.
Yeah.
You know, and as a former Hoosier, I have to tip my hat. I got to clap my hands to Purdue. They are a good team. They will be 7-4 after this matchup. In Northwestern, this is just a year where, honestly, I think they are ready to forget about down in Evanston. So, shout out to the Wildcats, but they don't have any shot here. And Purdue, they are on a bigger mission. So, give me Purdue to not only win, but give me Purdue to also cover this number. All right, next, a game we hit on earlier. We have the 9-1 Wake Forest Demon Deacons, who are number 12 in the rankings. They are facing the unranked Clemson Tigers. Clemson, however, they are 3.5-point favorites. 55.5 is the over-under. And by the way, fans, these numbers I get for the spreads and the totals, these are done early in the week, Monday. So I know things could change a little bit. This is Tuesday, but these are the fresh numbers that you would get to start the week. So the total has gone over in 6 of Wake Forest's last 7 games on the road. Clemson, they are 5-0 straight up in their last 5 home games, and they're also 5-0 straight up in their last 5 games against the Demon Deacons. Mook, let's pick the winner.
Man, I'll tell you what, Sam Hartman to A.T. Perry has become a deadly combination for Wake Forest. They put just points up like crazy. You know, it's been a historic season for them. With a win here, they will wrap up their side of the division and head to Charlotte for the ACC championship game. Death Valley's a tough place to play, even if Clemson isn't what they've been. They have a 34-game home win streak there, and they've won 12 straight over Wake Forest. 68-17-1 all time against Wake Forest. So they've owned them. They're improving. They're pretty banged up though on defense. So that's not a good combination when you're going up against Wake Forest's prolific offense. And DJU is a short two. You know, DJU he's still pretty sporadic on his performances. With all the history on their side and the fact that I just don't want to break my streak of picking against Wake Forest, I am going to go with Clemson. But with the dinged up defense, I still don't see Wake Forest scoring a ton of points in this one, which they have against everybody else, and they don't play very good defense themselves. So I think it's going to be an ugly game with some turnovers and whatnot, but I see like a 27-24-ish game with Clemson maybe sneaking it out. And that's saying they're going to hold them to that. That's pretty wild because they haven't been held probably under 30 this year. So that's my kind of, it's not an upset, I guess, because they're the favorite, but
right.
It still kind of feels that way.
Yeah, it does. It does. Wake Forest has been the better team all season, and they have, like you said, with this win, they wrap up, you know, their side of the ACC. So, you know, that's a lot to play for there. You're going with Clemson, so it's automatic. I have to go with Wake Forest, and I'm not overly confident there because Clemson and Death Valley. I mean, it is Death Valley for a reason. It's very tough to play there. It's very tough to not only play there, but obviously win there. And when Clemson is right, I mean, even on this quote unquote bad season that Clemson is having, I mean, they're still 7-3 on the year.
Yeah,
you know, one of those.
Like, does it?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't move. It really doesn't.
Talked about. Yeah.
No, I mean, you just expect them. You automatically just want to punch them into the Final Four every year, but you know, just not one of those seasons. One of their losses came to Georgia, you know, and we see what Georgia's all about. But I think Georgia was the game. It was early on, but it's kind of set the trend for Clemson. Well, they showed the blueprint for a lot of teams that Clemson has a hard time scoring, and it hasn't really picked up throughout this year, especially against, you know, competitive good teams. So for me, it's a very tough game. It's very tough to win in Death Valley. Clemson is clearly going to put up a fight. But in my heart of hearts, I feel like Wake Forest should be the favorites here. I think Clemson is just getting the benefit of the doubt. It's easy to read these names and just expect Clemson to win. But Wake Forest has been the better team. Wake Forest has the better quarterback. Clemson has a banged up defense. Wake Forest, they don't care about playing defense, so that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter for me or them. And they just look to score. And I feel like Wake Forest can put a lot of pressure on the Tigers to try to score and score early. And that could be really good for the Demon Deacons, especially with DJU. He's kind of DJ interception for me because he's known to throw the ball to the other team. So I'm kind of banking on some turnovers early. Wake Forest can capitalize off of it. And I think they explode. And I'm taking the Demon Deacons to win this game. All right, next we have Iowa State. They are playing number 8 Oklahoma. Oklahoma, they are 4-point favorites at home. 61 points is the over-under. Oklahoma, they are 5-0 straight up in their last 5 home games. They're also 17-1 straight up in their last 18 games overall. Iowa State, they are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games against Oklahoma. So that's key there. And the total has gone over in 4 of the last 5 matchups between these two teams in Norman, Oklahoma. Mook, let's pick the winner.
Iowa State's so hard to read this year. They, I mean, a miracle, 62-yarder. They got beat by, with Texas Tech last week, a walk-off. I don't know. In Oklahoma, the way that they played last week and, and give the credit to Baylor in that one, they both need a bounce back. I definitely think that it's Oklahoma who bounces back, but I have no idea who's going to be playing quarterback, taking the most snaps. Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? Is it going to be Caleb Williams? I don't know if they know at this point. I do know that Breece Hall only rushed for 51 yards last week, and if he can't get it going on the ground for Iowa State, they don't have a chance. This could be the kind of they do have 6 wins. They're going to a bowl game. But this kind of feels to me like the exit parade for Matt Campbell. I think he takes a job, here real soon after this, because this is probably as good as it gets right now for Iowa State. So a lot of rumors, Mel Tucker to LSU and Matt Campbell to Michigan State. Well, I don't know. I've just kind of heard those, but it kind of feels like maybe he hit his peak at Iowa State, and I don't see them winning this game against Oklahoma this week.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Oklahoma played a terrible game last week. I'm all about the bounce back effect, and I feel like them back in Norman, Oklahoma, with maybe not what they dreamed of. Hopeful to make the Final Four. I mean, they still have a chance. Obviously for a New Year's Six bowl. And just to round out the year how they need to. Now, speaking of speculations, a lot are saying, you talk about the LSU job, they're saying that maybe Lincoln Riley is connected to be the head man at LSU. So,
wow,
could that be in play? So basically, you got 2 coaches that could potentially be the LSU coach next year. Going head to head in this matchup here. And by the way, I was thinking about it. We forget about another premier job, quote unquote. USC, that's out there, so a lot of opportunities, but getting back to this game, it's a tight number. They're only 4-point favorites. Right. That gives me a little bit of cause for pause, but I do like the bounce back effect. Fans out there, and Mook, if a team doesn't play well one week, I love them the next. And being back in Norman, Oklahoma, I just feel like Oklahoma has one of those classic explosions. I would be intrigued to see what the actual weather is for this game. I don't know why, Mook, but I feel like I look up, if it's one of those kind of cold, kind of Oklahoma, it's not really snowing, but it's kind of like some flurries in the air for some reason. I kind of like Iowa State in that game. But if it's kind of on the sunny side of things, beautiful clear skies, blue skies, I like Oklahoma. I don't really care who's playing quarterback for them. I think that is a little bit of a conundrum. I have to go with the team that needs to bounce back. I have to go with the team that just has been the better team overall and that's been way more consistent, and that's at home. So give me the Oklahoma Sooners to win this game.
Just real quickly, how do you think that both the people, the press, the presidents of the schools, the chancellors in the Big 12 felt this week watching Kansas beat Texas and Baylor beating Oklahoma? I mean, everybody had to just be laughing. You
have to. Mook, you have to. Like, man, I was high on Texas earlier. I think they're cursed. Like, it was the same thing. Like, this is a Charlie Strong year all over again. Now, we'll give Sark credit first year. So, it is what it is there. But you're right, man. I mean, seeing those two teams lose, especially in the fashion that they lost, they were both down the entire game, Mook. Like, Texas, at some point, they were down almost 21 points. Yeah.
And the people in all the teams in the SEC are just licking their chops.
Exactly. But hey, be careful, my friend, because Texas, they got a lot of resources. So
they do.
And I am a Sarkisian believer. So just, for those SEC boys, just be careful what you wish for, because I think Texas is, could definitely flip some things around sooner than you guys think.
Sure.